For 80-year-old Joe Biden, this is arguably one of the most difficult missions of his political career. Just a year out from presidential election, American foreign policy under intense scrutiny, and the Middle East fast becoming a legacy issue for a man who may in the end only serve one term. Netanyahu and Biden never did get along at a personal level, but there's an apparent newfound connection forged by conflict clear today at their meeting here in Tel Aviv.
Mr. President, Joe, I want to thank you for coming here today and for the unequivocal support you have given Israel during these trying times, a support that reflects the overwhelming will of the American people. I've seen your support every day in the depth and breadth of cooperation that we have had since the beginning of this war, a level of cooperation that is truly unprecedented in the history of the great alliance between our two nations.
Terrorist group Hamas has slaughtered, as has been pointed out, over 1,300 people, and is not hyperbole to suggest slaughtered, and including 31 Americans as part of that. And they've taken scores of people hostage, including children. You said, imagine what those children hiding from Hamas were thinking. It's beyond my comprehension to be able to imagine what they're thinking. Beyond my comprehension. They're committed evils that and atrocities that make ISIS look somewhat more rational. You know, Americans are grieving with you. They really are. And Americans are worried. Americans are worried because we know this is not an easy field to navigate, what you have to do. But the fact is that Israel, as they respond to these attacks, it seems to me that have to continue to ensure that you have what you need to defend yourselves. And we're going to make sure that occurs, as you know. And we have to also bear in mind that Hamas does not represent all the Palestinian people. And it has brought them only suffering. I was deeply saddened and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team, not you. I want to say to the people of Israel, their courage, their commitment, their bravery is stunning. It's really stunning. I'm proud to be here.
This was the scene moments after the Al-Hali hospital explosion, where thousands of Gazans were sheltering, hoping they'd be safe. Entire families were wiped out in the fireball. First responders quickly realized there were hundreds of dead. Hamas claiming it was an Israeli airstrike, which if true amounts to a war crime. In the light of day, clear images of utter devastation. A car park where families sheltered, reduced to ashes. The remains of many will never be identified. Dr. Mohammed Al-Nakar says there was no warning before the hospital was targeted. There were about 3,000 people who were taking shelter here. Children were cut into pieces, he said. And this man shouts, "See what happened to the people, have mercy upon us. Look how the people died. They were all civilians. They didn't have any weapons," he said. As Israeli airstrikes on Gaza continue today, at least 37 more Palestinians died overnight. Confusion over the hospital explosion. The Israelis denied they targeted the hospital and issued a video apparently showing a rocket fired by Palestinian militant group Islamic Jihad losing height and plunging into the ground, causing carnage.
At 6:15 p.m., a barrage of rockets was fired by Hamas to Israel. Then, at 6:59 p.m., a barrage of around 10 rockets was fired by Islamic Jihad from a nearby cemetery. It was at the time that 6:59 p.m. when there were reports of an explosion at the Al-Hali al-Mahadani hospital in Gaza City. According to our intelligence, Hamas checked the reports, understood it was an Islamic Jihad rocket that had misfired, and decided to launch a global media campaign to hide what really happened. They went as far as inflating the numbers of casualties. They understood with absolute certainty that it was a rocket misfired by Islamic Jihad that damaged the hospital. Analysis of our aerial footage confirms that there was no direct hit to the hospital itself.
The Arab Street doesn't believe that version. The occupied West Bank, always a powder keg, exploded. These Palestinians protesting against their own President Mahmoud Abbas, who'd already cancelled his summit with Biden and declared 3 days of mourning for the Al-Hali hospital dead. As a result of the hospital atrocity in Gaza, Joe Biden will not now travel to Jordan for a summit with Arab leaders. Instead, he'll speak to them by phone. Meanwhile, tensions here in Israel and the wider Middle East remain at a dangerous high. John Crookston, Arise News, Tel Aviv.